Hello, friends. Welcome to the Logistics of Logistics podcast. My name is Joe Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is CloneOps.ai. AI phone operations always turned on with my friend David Bell. How's it going, David?
Going good, Joe. How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. It sounds like you got new stuff going on here, David Bell. Dave, please introduce yourself and your company and where you're calling from today.
Sure. David Bell, CloneOps.ai, and I'm calling from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Very nice, very nice. So what does CloneOps.ai do?
CloneOps.ai is a voice agent AI model that tackles the phone operations, inbound and outbound calling with virtual assistants and AI.
Very nice, very nice. And who are your customers?
Logistics companies and trucking companies. The small to medium sized all the way up to enterprise size logistics companies. Anybody with high volume of inbound, outbound calls.
Very nice. Now, many people are listening and saying, wait, I know another David Bell who is at Lean Solutions Group, but it is one and the same. Talk for a minute about Lean Solutions Group and then when and why you started CloneOps.ai.
Sure. So Lean, as we know, Lean was founded many years ago, leader in the nearshore space and teaming up with logistics companies to partner and open their satellite offices in Latin America. I started that with my co-founder and good friend, Robert Cadena, and we later did a couple transactions with some great private equity folks, Lead Edge Capital and FTV, great private equity partners, and grew the company to crazy numbers. And Robert and I did a great job getting it there, but to get a company from $1 billion in value to $5 billion in value, you got to start bringing in the big hitters and scale and grow. And so we basically beefed up the C-suite team, brought in some really good people to take the company to the next level. And Robert is now executive chairman, and I stepped out to go do some other ventures and do some different things. I'm still a shareholder, still supporting them heavily, and we're working together with this new venture. But this AI thing was pretty cool. And I said, let me see what this is all about. And also wanted to make sure I did it to see what I can make sure I was digging in and protecting Lean, because I'm still a shareholder and I want to make sure that we have the right strategy there, and I'm digging in. So basically just went out and did some research and put together a really good team and launched CloneOps.ai.
I love it. I love it. So I want to talk for just a minute about Lean and that evolution I've seen, because Lean was one of my very first sponsors. I think maybe the first. I remember calling you, and that was years ago. And I've talked to people from Lean on the podcast many times, including you with Peter Rentschler during COVID. And when I look at Lean Solutions Group, people go, oh, yes, so you're offshoring. And I think people always have the wrong thinking on it, which is, oh, yeah, we're just looking, this is just labor arbitrage. I'm getting a cheaper head. But what I saw with Lean over time was more and more tech. Now, I am not just a friend of Lean, not just a vendor. I'm a customer. I've been working with Lean for 4 years, and this podcast is going to be edited. What I saw from Lean is you guys have all sorts of technology people down there developing tech. So it's not just, we'll throw a cheap head at it. It is what makes sense. If it needs a head, we'll have a head. If it needs new tech, we'll develop that tech. And that's what the logistics space needs. I'll get off my soapbox now.
I think a lot of people that go into the relationship with Lean and start using them and look at it as less expensive third world labor fail there. They don't do well because these are educated, young, vibrant minds that want to work hard for U.S. companies. They take pride in it, and they represent the companies that they work for in the U.S. if they're here in the U.S. So we've always pushed hard for the customers of Lean to say, treat it like any other office in the U.S. Go down there, spend time, bring your people here, culture it, put your name on it, do everything you would do for an office in the U.S. there, and you'll have huge success. And Lean has customers, I think over 700-800 customers now. They have, biggest customers, 550 employees is their biggest customer, down to 2 employees. And if you use it, it's a great way to supplement your labor and get a combination of really good young smart people at lesser cost because there are Latin America, and let your take that savings and invest it into sales and growing your business here is what we've always preached. And we did well. We did great. So
Oh my God. I joked about when I started working with you guys, I think you had 1,500 people. And I was like, whoa, that was quick. And then I don't know what day it is now, but last I heard it was like 10,000 people working at Lean.
yeah, there's over 10,000. What's funny is when we hit 1,500 people, Robert and I the year before were going through the budgets, and Robert's I'm the fast aggressive, I'm gonna blow the roof off the numbers, and Robert's a conservative. Let's not get too crazy. And that year I said, Robert, I think we had 270 employees or something. I said, Robert, going forward, I want to put on 1,000 bodies next year. And he's like, it's impossible. That's 80 bodies a month. We can't do that, Dave. We can do 50 as the most. And I go, nah, we can do it. And so him and I got in a little. I'm like, all right, whatever. What do you want to do? He goes, let's put 500 bodies on it. We should celebrate if we do that. I said, you're right. Okay, let's do 500 bodies. And we closed the year with 1,400 bodies. So we put on over 1,000 bodies, and the team did it. And the whole management was in Colombia. Everything was done there. We were just sales and finance here in the US. And so they did an amazing job, and we blew it out of the water. And then that's when we started. So that's when you must have started our first conversations. And then we were quite crazy after that. So
I've interviewed you one other time. It was with our friend Peter Rentschler from Metaphora. And you said that same conversation about you and Robert saying, what are we going to do next year? And except all the numbers are much lower than they are now. So
the thing is too is I believe, Joe, and I had young. It's funny because nowadays young people don't hesitate to ask you, "What do you do for a living? What do you do? What do you do?" And I have nice cars, and I usually look like I'm done something right. And so I had a kid ask me the other day, "Oh, what'd you do? How'd you get where you're at and get your success?" And I said, "I just believed I was going to be successful. Like I believed it. Like you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to get to 10,000 employees. I was getting to 10,000 no matter what, however long it took. And once I convinced Robert that we can do it." And that just believe it. And once the light bulb went on and he believed it, when we put on over 1,000 bodies that year, I saw that he believed we can get to 10,000 bodies, and we didn't have breaks. We had one gear and we got to 10,000 bodies. So I told the kid, I'm like, listen, you have to really believe what you're going to do. You can't fake believe. Like fake believe doesn't achieve. You have to really believe deep down. And I've just been crazy my whole life. Everything I've ever wanted, I believed I was going to get it. I had no idea how. And that crazy belief is like powerful, man. It's so powerful.
I love it. I love it. I always am looking at those aspirational quotes, and I love to talk to people like you just because I will say this, since I started this podcast 7 years ago, I talked to tons of founders like you. It has made me what you end up doing, it's like looking in the mirror. You go, oh man, when you hear David Bell say that, and you go, hey, why aren't I doing that? And it's never too late, guys. You should believe.
No, and you don't have to know how. You don't have to know the how you're going to get it. And I always give the example, when I was 15, I was working at a car wash, and in the cars I would get in a Lexus or a Mercedes, and I had a motor. I was riding a motorcycle, and I was like, I would get in that, and I'd be like, this is me one day, and I'd be driving and pulling it up to the vacuum, and I'd be like, this is my Lexus, this is my Mercedes. And then like when I was later on in life, I got a nice Honda Accord, leather interior, 4-door, and it had the Honda sign. And every day I was driving to work to logistics. When I was in logistics in 1993, every day I was driving to work, I pictured that H for Honda as an L for Lexus or a Mercedes sign. I just looked at it, and you couldn't tell me it wasn't a Mercedes sign or a Lexus sign. And that next thing, I'm driving a Mercedes. And I just think that's the power of thinking. You never know how it's going to do it, but if you don't absolutely believe and tell yourself every single day and do it every single day, and it's like having a vision board. If you put it on the vision board and you look at it every day, your mind just figures out a way to deliver what you believe should happen. And that's the secret, man. That's the sauce.
This isn't a self-help guru's talking. It's a guy who's done it and is doing it. David, tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Some career highlights before you started Lean Solutions Group with Robert.
Yeah, listen, I grew up in South Florida, and basically got my GED when I was 16. And my parents, I wanted to move out, and with my girlfriend then, who became my wife and now is my ex-wife, but after 35 years. And I went home and said, hey, I want to move out, because she was a year and a half older than me. And they said, you can't move out until you get your high school diploma or turn 18. No way. And I was working 2 jobs. And So I said, okay. So I went down and got my GED the next week and came home and said, here's my diploma. And I moved out at 16 and a half years old. And I worked two jobs. And then I was going to be a stockbroker, my stockbroker license. And I did some telemarketing and the sports touting business and made a ton of money. And then the leads dried up there and I moved into logistics. And in 1993, I got introduced to trucking and logistics. And I was like, wow, one powerful key word along with vision you need is my grandfather told me when I was young. And I remember he said, residual is the most important word you'll ever understand. And I was like, what? And my grandfather had a very colorful history. They grew up on carnival. So he was a carny. He ended up being a chiropractor. He was a magician. He was a member of the Magic Castle. So my grandfather always believed he was my guardian angel. He's always watched over me. And I just remembered, like, I had to be 6 or 7 years old. And he said, I'm going to tell you the most important thing. Listen. I go, what's that, Grandpa? He said, residual. And I'm like, what's that? Residual. And he said, that is the most powerful word in business and your career. Don't do anything ever that isn't residual. And when I saw logistics, I was like, and my grandfather had passed away by then. He passed away in 1991. And this was 93. And I said, this is exactly what he's talking about. This is it. I get a customer today. I get a customer tomorrow. I get 5 shipments this week. I get 10 shipments next week. This is exactly what he means by residual. And I'm in. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. I'm in. And I just went out and hustled and started in sales. And so then I built that business and had ups and downs. And I ended up going off on my own in 1995 because they went out of business and I was forced to make a decision. So I said, shit, let me just keep going and do this myself. And in 1995, I went into business. And man, I tell you, so I have no business school, no degree in business. I didn't go to Harvard and Wharton, and I didn't have a loan and a bank. I didn't have anything. I just bootstrapped it. And for the next, from 95 to 2018, I did everything possible up and down and you could do in a business. And then I sold it. And meanwhile, 5 years before that, I had started Lean for my own benefit and my own logistics company. That's where Robert came in. Robert and I go way back. He worked with me in the 90s and we stayed in touch and I hauled freight for him because he had an LTL brokerage and I used to use me. And one day we met up by complete accident and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, come see me. And he's, I'm doing this, but down in Colombia. I said, what? And then so that's how the spark would Lean. And I could immediately move 30 jobs down there and save $500,000 a year. So I was like, what are we doing? Let's come in and run my whole LTL brokerage. I'd make you a partner and give you that division. And so we launched it for ourselves and then just one after another by accident. It became a business. And it's when I realized it was a business, it was crazy, man. It was like when I started doing numbers and I'm like, Robert, get out of this LTL brokerage nonsense. This is too much. This is not fun. Go out and go run Lean while I take care of this logistics company and I'm going to sell it. I'm going to put it for sale. We're going to get out. I'm going to sell it and I'm going to come blow Lean up with you because I think Lean is the next best business and it's way better. And so I did that. We went through a transaction. I think it was 2016. We actually had XPO looking for us and then they bought Conway. And so they put all acquisitions on hold. So we got we got dumped. And so then we're like back to the drawing board. Well, we learned a lot through that and we fixed a lot of things. And one of the things we fixed was we learned that nobody really liked that Colombian operation we had in our logistics on because we basically ran it within the logistics. It was an extension of us, but we had customers too. But the customers we actually built through the logistics company. Like it was crazy. And I hauled freight for these customers too. So they were mutual. And so then when I spun Robert out, we opened up Lean Solutions. When we sold it, they weren't interested. I think we had 15 management meetings and we had 8 LOIs and none of them wanted anything to do with this Colombia operation. And the people that ended up buying the company went down to Colombia. And I'll never forget, as we were leaving, we went down there, saw the operation because they wanted to see the operation of the trucking company. And they saw all the other customers and they're like, wow, we should be buying this business, not the trucking company. It's not for sale. And it was so crazy that all these people wanted nothing to do with this business. They don't want it. Like they didn't want any employees in Colombia, any relationship in Colombia, didn't want it. And I'm like, thank you. I'm glad you don't want it because Lean's probably worth more than $1 billion now. You talk about 7, 8 years later. And it's just crazy that, and they recognize it when they saw it. They're like, and everybody that goes to Lean, every single customer, every single prospect, there's not one prospect or customer that doesn't go visit their office in Latin America, wherever it is in Colombia or in Guatemala, that doesn't say, and you probably have never been there, doesn't say, wow, this is amazing and I'm going to grow this
Right.
business.
I could tell you about maybe a year and a half ago, I interviewed Doug Wagner from Echo Global Logistics. And towards the end of the interview, I asked him,
Oh, he promoted lean. Yeah, yeah, I remember that because he had just gone down there. Wasn't that the one where he just went down there and he said, "I'm going to grow the hell out of this"?
yeah, I said, who else should I talk to on my podcast? And I think he said you or Robert. And then unsolicited, he says, and again, Doug Wagner is one of the true legends in this business. What he built over at Echo is unbelievable. And he said, "Oh, I just got back from Colombia. We have 300 employees down there, and we're going to get 300 more."
That was great, and he meant that. The only thing that hurt that was the freight recession that hurt everybody. Would have put it, but every single customer for the last 2 years has struggled to grow, and so it's but and we love Doug.
So one of the things he also said is he goes, when I was down there, I kept asking people, where are you from? And he said, because they were like, he goes, I was convinced this person is an American who moved to Colombia. And it's funny, he should say that because I've dealt with lean for a long time. And a lot of the people, if they're not, most I think are from Colombia, the people I work with, but they spent time in America and a lot of educated, or my mom's from there, or whatever it is. And yeah, that was an unsolicited.
And the Colombia is most like the US cultural wise, education wise, the whole thing. And it's just crazy. And when you go down there, you really realize it's real. They're real people. They're real smart kids. They're young. All right. I think the average age at least 27. It's just, they're young, good minds. And yeah, it's crazy. And to think of where we brought it, I'm super proud that I have 5 grandkids now, Joe. And what I hope is, and one of the reasons I'm running out and doing this new AI venture is I want to be remembered. I want my grandkids to grow up. Maybe some of them go into logistics and know their grandfather was badass. It like kind of goes back to the silver days in them with American backhaulers, right? If when Andrew has kids, and I'm sure he will, or anybody else with a grandpa, when you hear your grandpa was a freaking legend, that's what drives me to do that, is having my kids be super proud and do some really cool stuff. I think with lean, like we revolutionized the labor arbitrage. Like we were the biggest disruptor in logistics, I think, like ever. And I think I can disrupt it again with AI. So imagine if I start out with the customers and I haul their freight. Like Echo's been a customer of mine. We're working them on the AI too. And that'll be my 3rd time as a customer. I hauled their freight. I gave them bodies in near shore, and now I'm going to do business with them in AI, and I could do that 3 times with the same customer base, which are all good people and friends and quality, and they trust me, and I'll never let them down. That's pretty cool. And I hope to look back in 5 years and make my kids and my grandkids and my colleagues and friends like proud of what I've done, and that's what's driving me to do this new AI business. That's really the motivation behind it.
Dude, you could stop now and be a legend, but I'm glad you're continuing.
It's humble, believe me. It's especially logistics. It's such a tight community, and a lot of the people coming in the AI space now are the Silicon Valley, the tech guys, and a lot of them are from overseas. And it's an uphill battle to penetrate this space. Like people don't want to give access to their data to just anybody. And one of the main topics we have is, okay, if you can go in our dashboard and you can create an agent. So let's say you wanted to create a virtual agent to do a bunch of phone call stuff. Go solicit for podcasts, advertisement, whatever you want to do. You can go in our dashboard. You could build it. You could give it a name. You could give it a characteristic. You can give it a voice, a female, a male. You can give it a voice. You can build it. And see, so I get asked the question over and over again when we're doing demos. Okay, if I build one and it's great, are you going to give it to anybody? And I'm like, no, I promise you I won't, unless you want to get some from everybody else. And if everybody's in for sharing best practices and building and best prompts and best scripts, then yeah, I'll share it. We'll have a shared agreement, but I'm not going to do it unless I have your permission. And with lean, one of the things everybody's worried about is, okay, I'm going to hire it. What's to stop them from going to work to my competitor next door? We never allowed people to go from one company to the next company. What would happen is if somebody got rid of somebody really good, we would put them work for lean. I think lean has 1,200 administrative employees that actually work for lean and not any customers. So like we had a huge amount of people that we would just bring them in and hire them ourselves and not let them go to a competitor.
Oh yeah. But by the way, Natalie, who is going to edit this episode, she worked for another logistics company. So when I interviewed her, years ago now, I think 4 years ago. She had lived in the US, spoke English, understood rights, can be counted on. But on top of that, I used to work for this logistics company. And I was like, I won't mention the name, but a company that everyone would recognize the name. She said, yeah, I did all the exceptions and I tracked and traced. I was like, oh, I got it. Got it.
Some of these companies, they don't have a next level job for them. They're stuck in that
Yeah.
job forever. So they have to go somewhere. And what a lot of these guys, a lot of these companies and are very, picky about competitive and going to a competitor. And some of them are fierce competitors and some of them hate each other and others are best friends. So it's all over. And we just always had a don't do it policy. No. And if there was a circumstance, we would get permission and make sure that everybody was okay with what we were doing. We went out of our way to do that. It's like when I hauled freight for 5,500 brokers in the country, I would have the shipper call this broker and I would get 3 quotes from different brokers for the same shipper. And then I'd be like, okay, I give everybody the same quote. And then I get it from this broker one week, this broker the next week, that broker the next week. And I never once went after him directly, never once told a broker, hey, you're losing your freight. Like I just stayed Switzerland. And I think Lean's done an amazing job of being Switzerland. And I think Lean's play in the AI space and what they're doing, that continuing to be Switzerland, but bringing the solutions, because Lean Solutions, originally we were Lean Staffing, now we're Lean Solutions, bringing the AI solutions to their customers to implement with their employees down there and make them better, make them more productive, make them and bring value to their clients, I think is a win. So people should reach out to Lean and look at what they're doing in this AI space because they have the full circle, they have the full suite of solutions that they're offering to their clients to bring. And we're the AI solution. We're the voice AI.
So let's talk about this new venture, CloneOps.ai. And so the name of the title today is AI Phone Operations Always Turned On. What problem are you solving for your customers?
It's so many use cases, Joe. Like if it's a factor company, we have use cases. If it's a trucking company, and one of the things I'm doing is when we have a big box broker and we literally call them and say, okay, we go do it. We go run through who their carriers the AI is going to be calling. AI doesn't want to, these truckers don't want to get all of a sudden 1,000 calls from AI from all these brokers calling to see if they got trucks. So that's going to be a problem, right? So we're creating the solution even before the problem exists to say, okay, let's call these carriers. Let's tell them, listen, we just onboarded 5 huge brokers and you're one of the key carriers. AI is going to be lighting up your phone system. Here's an AI agent to take care of that for you. You don't have to answer the phone and talk to them. Your AI agent will, and trying to connect those AI agents to have the AI agents speak to each other. So that's like a problem that's going to happen. You got all these competitors out there. Another one today posted, they got an AI agent bot. And do you imagine if you're a carrier in Chicago, you're all of a sudden, your phone just lit up with AI agents calling you, asking you if you got a truck? Like it's
when you say AI agent, let's use me as an example. Let's just say I own a freight brokerage. And I say, Dave, is this still the freight recession? We're slowly coming out of it, but I need to make more money. I need more margin. I want to grow the business without growing heads. And you say, yeah, Joe, I can build you a virtual assistant. What is that? How does that even work?
Every outbound phone call you make and every inbound phone call you take, we can take those recordings if you have them, or we can build a script and you can handle 90% of that conversation with your virtual assistant. And a lot of times people just want to get right to the point. You get an inbound calls, you're a very nice guy. You want to ask how you're doing. You don't want to just get right to the point, but with AI, they can get right to the point. You got a truck, you got a load, you got my invoice paid. Like they don't have to do that and then get on with their day. So you can create a virtual assistant that's going to allow you to start answering those calls, making those outbound calls, and then allowing you to watch those conversations in real time and see how they're progressing, see if they're successful, see if they're failures, take over the ones that are failing. We got our escalation process. It'll bring it to the surface. If it's having a failing grade, it could tell if somebody's getting angry. It does voice detection. It'll just allow you to increase the amount of inbound and outbound productivity you're able to do and make you more productive.
So back to my brokerage, I say, Dave, I got 10 guys here. And a lot of times they're tracking trucks. And you say,
you're losing money if you got guys tracking trucks that are booking trucks too.
Okay, so you'll say, okay, we're going to listen to the last week's worth of recordings, and then this AI will be able to call the trucking companies. And so are they pulling information right from my TMS and saying,
Yep. We integrate all. We don't now. We're working on integrating all the TMSs and load boards and Highway which is another great company. Highway has done an amazing job.
Oh yeah.
With a great company, and we're integrating with all them. And Michael Caney's done a good job. We're working with him on actually our voice AI. We have a voice AI identification product we're going to be launching in the second quarter. That's going to help. That's going to help fraud. If a voice is it's almost exactly like a fingerprint and lasts about 8 years before you have to reprogram it. And so we're building when a soon as a brokerage gets a phone call and they answer the phone to identify if that's a voice that's approved to ask for a load for that carrier. And if we're also going to be recording bad actors, if it's a bad actor, it's going to flag it as a bad actor voice right away, doing some things like that. But back to your question, those 10 guys, like we would literally just give them 2 virtual agents to manage a bunch of the inbound calls and handle the outbound calls and call and track the trucks while they're booking loads. Your key guys booking loads is where you're making money. They're not making money tracking trucks, and they're giving service. You track the truck to make sure it delivers on time and you give service. You're not really making the money on tracking the truck. You're making money on booking the truck. So that's what they want to be doing.
And I think this reminds me when I was still at a 3PL, we did mostly less than truckload. And I had most of our customers would go and they go to our portal and they book their loads. And we were very happy. We'd be watching all day long what was going on. But then we had 10 customers who just insisted on calling us and having one of our people enter the information in. And I remember as I would walk by the bullpen and see all this, I would always think, God, I'd kind of like to hit them with a $5-10 charge for asking us to put the information. And we didn't do that. But I did think about it every once in a while. We talked about it because it was just a weird thing. But I get it. Some people wanted that. Now with AI, if I'm talking to AI, and by the way, probably every week I do talk to some AI, whether it's a credit card or the cable company. And for the most part, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me unless
it's good, right? As long as it answers your question and understands quick and you don't get caught up and it doesn't start hallucinating all over you and then you can't get to somebody.
As long as I can escalate. And every once in a while when it says, hey, what is your email address? And you give it to them and it says, what is your email? And you're like, okay, escalate or exit or let me talk to this person. As long as I can do that, I think all of us got used to working. If you're old enough like me, you got used to working with email, you got used to working with voicemail and all the tech we use. I think a lot of young people prefer.
That's like they prefer texting, right? Everybody texts. They don't want to get on the call because then you get stuck. They just want to text and go on because everything moves so much faster this day and they're doing all this stuff's going on. So when you get on the phone, all that stuff has to stop. And you have to be on the phone. A lot of times I'll be on the phone with somebody and I'll be on my earpods in. I'll be looking at emails and texting and they'll be talking to me. I'm like, wait, I missed what you said. You were breaking up. What was that? Because I'm like distracted doing 10 other things while I'm talking to them. I prefer just give me a text. I can give you an answer and boom, we're done. And that's today's society. They don't want to be on the phone talking all the time.
So Dave, and also what we want is, to your point, we want our people working on the value added stuff, getting me new customers, but also having an actual relationship is how's last week's shipments go for you, being more the consultant and less of the tracking shipments. So if I was working with you guys and you said, we're going to build some virtual assistants for you, I'm assuming I know what I would do. I would say, Dave, I want to start small. I want to make sure that we don't upset the apple. I don't want any upset customers here.
There's really no customer facing AI agents at the moment, except for the accounts receivable. And when you're calling to check, ask for accounts payable, you're not hurting anybody's feelings anyway. You're literally just asking, did you get my invoice? No, I don't have it. Okay, boom, here it is. I just emailed it to you. So that's not the operations people that are usually, super, super critical of everything you do and afraid, oh, you're going to give my freight to AI. And now nobody's going to accept the excuse, oh, our AI screwed it up. I'm sorry. Like, that's not gonna, you're not getting a call. You're not getting off the hook by saying that to your customer. So we're starting with a lot of the low risk stuff as this new evolution proves itself, and it's going to get better and better. If you watch it, it's going to get better and cheaper, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, Dave, you're finishing this journey. I shouldn't say finishing. You're in that journey with lean. You got people to realize that you can work side by side with people who are in Colombia or Philippines or Mexico. It doesn't matter. You might as well be in Philadelphia or Cleveland.
Listen, COVID helped us with that because when COVID hit and everybody went home, every logistics company was like, "Well, how are we going to operate?" Then they realized they had to operate remotely, and that was it. That was a game changer
You
for us.
got done with that acceptance, and now the next acceptance. And again, I suspect it's going really well. The people you're working with, what are their results?
They can't wait for it to get up. And we have our first pilots up and running this week and next week. We're finally getting there doing it. It's funny, building a tech platform, tech product is it's a lot different than building a company like Lean and getting it. It's you're relying on tech and you have bugs and it's got to work right and then it's going to launch today. Nope, sorry, it's going to launch tomorrow. Nope, sorry, we're now delayed more. And now we got to fix this. And so it's taken longer than I like, but I'm patient and I want to deliver a great platform. So we're doing it right. But launching a tech, but most of the people that are now in the pilot, launching the pilot, are excited about it. They're very excited about it.
One thing that is consistent when I talk to people about AI is that if you like it the first week, the first month, you're going to love it in 6 months because it gets better. All of us have the goal of getting better. We're all going to be faster, smarter. AI actually meets that promise. It gets better every week with iteration.
No, it's going to get better. And fast forward 3 or 5 years, it's going to be crazy what AI can do. I contend that like people just won't even think anymore. What's the point? Like AI is going to do everything. And I think I mentioned it on a couple of the podcasts I've done. I think the work week's going to get shorter. The work day's going to get shorter. Companies like if you're a logistics company, you got 40 loads to cover and you cover them all by noon. And then maybe let everybody go home at 3 o'clock or have everybody come in later while your AI is working. But it's going to be the ease of working. And especially this generation now, they want remote, they want more personal time. They don't want the pressure. And so it's not like you and I in the days we were in the grind. Like I was 80 hours a week in the office, eat through at my desk. And I didn't want to leave my desk because I'd miss a phone call or I'd come back to 42 emails stacked up. So
Right. I heard Jamie Dimon say this. I think he's at Chase. He said, "Don't worry, Gen Z. You're going to work 3 days a week and you're going to live to 100 years old."
I believe that's what it's going to get. And resources are going to be in abundance. Like they're already coming. Once you get AI and you get robotics and you get all this automation, like resources now get less expensive. They're in abundance. We got plant-based proteins now. And I think the culture is changing rapidly. And over time, I think my grandkids probably will work at a company where they work 3 days a week, 5 hours a day, and they get a certain amount of resources from their state or their government that covers baseline resources. And whatever they make is extra and whatever was the innovative thing to do then, the smart, innovative people will find what the next thing is in 10, 15, 20 years. And those are the people that'll change the world again or keep changing it.
So when somebody's implementing CloneOps.ai, how does that look? Is this I know you're doing pilots right now, but you're piloting with some good sized companies. What does the implementation of this look like? But also give me a sense for the ROI on it.
One of the things at Lean that we really had to perfect was the implementation. It takes weeks to get people and get them interviewed and get everybody on the same calendar and time and schedule. And so here we went about it like, I want to be able to onboard 1,000 customers, 1,000 agents with very little human interaction from our part. So we built our dashboard where you can literally go to the marketplace and you can buy and hire an agent right then and there. You can program it yourself and you can put it to work yourself in under 5 minutes. And we have a click to integrate. So when you want to integrate, you click to integrate, and whatever integration's already there, and hopefully over time we'll have them all. You click, integration email goes out, you get the credentials, boom, it comes right back, and you're integrated.
So I'm going to want to integrate my virtual assistant
and basically integrate with anything. And whenever there's points of data information, it'll go in. And if I ask you, hey, Joe, are you available next? If I'm talking to your assistant, hey, Joe's virtual assistant, is he available next Tuesday at 1 o'clock? No, I'm looking at his calendar. He's not available at 1, but he could do 2:30. Is that good for you? No, I can't do 2:30. What about the next day? And that's the appointment schedulers are doing, right? That's what there's a bunch of appointment scheduling software out there that everybody's excited about. So that's what it's doing. And then eventually all those people that are setting appointments at the Kroger and all these that are answering the phones, which most of them don't, you have to do it online. Then you get them an agent. Now the agent's talking to the agent and then eventually it just connects. And it's like, I coined it AI API because the future is you don't have to have all these connections. You're basically just going to call and answer, call out and get the inbound and be able to talk to each other's systems.
Yeah, The nature of it is if I have one agent calling another agent, who cares? Where our systems connect that way all the time. It doesn't matter. We don't particularly care how the integration is happening as long as the work gets done.
As we were testing, we had AI calling AI. So we had a carrier rep calling a carrier, and we had them having a conversation going back and forth because when you test it, you got to do it. You got to call, you got to listen, you got to call, you got to keep doing it, you got to change the prompt. So we just had our quality AI, our QA AI, start taking calls, and they just went back and forth. And now you have two AIs having a conversation. You can see it in script, and it's like a perfect conversation. And the best thing about it too is when you're talking to this AI, it you say, what's your phone number? 954-222-8388. And boom, it comes right out and it has the number. You don't have to go, I'm sorry, what was that again? How many times have people asked for your email? Okay, what's your email? Spell it. And now you just say it and literally AI has it like perfect. And so like it just cuts out the repetitive and the information gathering and allows it to be much more efficient.
Dave, I'm like everybody else. I get emails. I get tons of emails. We're coming up to Manifest. I'll see you there next week. I know Lean's going to be there and CloneOps will be there. It's crazy though. Coming up to Manifest, I get hundreds of emails regarding Manifest. Hey, meet me at Manifest. Meet me.
Like appointments now. I'm getting like they're saying I booked these appointments. I never see it before. Like you booked this appointment. Like I booked no appointments.
But it comes down to if I had right now at this 1 minute, I'm not answering all of them, and I'm like, hey, I'll be there and I'll bump into you. You call me, whatever. I have your mobile phone number, so I can text you, Dave. But when the rest of the people are, when I get there, how do I get a hold of them? And I keep thinking, I every once in a while say I should have an assistant going through my email. And now I'm thinking, as we're talking, no, I should have a virtual assistant going through my emails.
Yeah. Yeah. And even virtual assistants now, like even concierge, you want to call a restaurant, get a reservation, right? You have a virtual assistant. You just say, listen, I want to go eat here, call and give me a reservation. And boom, they pick up the phone, they call the restaurant. They say, I'm calling on behalf of Joe Lynch. I'd like to get a reservation for next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. What do you have available for 4 people? We don't have 8 o'clock. What do we have? And you give a parameter. I'll take it anywhere from 7 to 9. 4 people, and your AI can literally book the restaurant for you and do that. So it's definitely, if you're a busy, high performing individual, you always have had an executive assistant, and you're just going to convert to your executive assistant now should have an assistant that's doing all the work. They should just be handling crisis and major stuff. That's what we're going to evolve to. And life's just going to be better, right? We can go to happy hour earlier now. The work does.
So, Dave, if I wanted to, let's just say, again, back to my freight brokerage, I start using it for some track and trace, and I use some for making phone calls, looking for trucks. And let's just say I want to do some training. Is there a training CloneOp in there?
So when you say training, like training for the AI or training?
No, training my sales guys.
So if you train your staff, like they're going to be watching these conversations take place because it's text, it's voice to text. You see it scrolling, and they'll be able to see what's happening and read over and see what's going on. So by virtue of watching it happen, they're being trained to do it.
I got to think these guys are going to get addicted to, man, I took 3 hours off my week. If I spend another half hour getting another agent, do I get another 3 hours off my week?
I think they're going to spend that time I think they're going to find that. I give examples, right? And I've done carrier sales, a carrier's rep, and I'm booking freight. If I had a few minutes to go in and see which loads I normally get that I haven't gotten in a while, which customers haven't shipped, pull my customer report, last ship date. Okay, when's the last time they ship? Normally they ship every week or every 10 days. I haven't heard from them in 3 weeks. Boom, let me call them and go, hey, how's things going? I haven't heard from you. Usually I get a shipment every week. I'm going to have to cut out dessert on dinner Friday because I'm losing business. What's up? And you're able to chase that business and do more productive things. So I don't know that they'll just take that 3 hours and do nothing, but I think they'll look at that 3 hours and go, now what can I do to make more money? And I think there's going to be scaling because of that, because now sales are going to boost. Even with AI sales agents, we've already created, one of our pilots is an AI sales agent for a factor company, OTR, and I think that sales are also going to go up too, because now your BDRs at Lean, we have 15 BDRs at Columbia, simply calling and saying, hey, have you heard of us? Let me send you my info. I can do 1,000 calls a minute now as a BDR with a voice, a female voice front that has an accent like they sound like they're from Medellin, Colombia, and say, "Hey, do you know who CloneOps is? Have you heard of us and see what we're doing to revolutionize logistics? Can I send you my info?" Boom. Now I can do that all day long. Now all these leads are coming in, and now we're more productive. So sales are going to be bigger, which means I'm going to hire more salespeople to handle sales. So I think AI is going to help companies grow faster too.
Dave, I just ran across this. It was some software, and I thought, oh, we should buy that software. I need that. It solves a little problem I have. So I click, and it says get a demo. I click on the to schedule a demo, and takes me to a video of the founder. And the founder says, hey, blah, 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 whatever you have this problem. It's like an 8-minute video. And I thought, oh, okay. That did not bother me one bit. And I was thinking, somebody reached out to me. Maybe it was Instagram, maybe it was email. I don't remember how I got to it, but that did not upset me one bit. I thought this was actually convenient. I got an 8-minute review.
You do it on your own time. You didn't have to schedule it in your calendar.
And so it hit me that I know sales has always been the relationships, and I'm not against those. Sometimes that's what you need. But if I can send out emails or agents sending emails or phone calls, and then connecting to videos of a founder, and usually the founder is the guy who's the most passionate about it, or a sales guy, it doesn't matter. It just, the one-to-many aspect is very exciting to me right now.
Yeah, and we're working on there. So AI is advancing so quickly, especially imaging. And Roger has us specialize in artificial intelligence and imaging. We're working. Roger Boza is our chief technology advisor and a strategist, and he has a PhD in AI. He worked for the Department of Energy for 5 years in the nuclear AI program. Super smart, presentable. I'd always joke because when I was launch Lean Tech, I had Alfonso, and Alfonso's great, amazing.
Yes,
young,
I've interviewed him.
Well, like he's got it, the whole package. And so I'm like, when I went and did this, I'm like, I came across Roger. I'm like, I tell everybody, I got my Alfonso here because like he's energetic, he's smart as shit, he's presentable, he looks good, and so I got my Alfonso here, which helps. And he's super smart. What we're working on is my goal in the next 6 months, hopefully in sales, is to have exactly what we're doing right now, but it's a virtual agent of me. It's not me, it's my virtual avatar. And it'll look like me, it'll talk like me. You can click, I want to hear a demo. It'll be me giving you the demo right then and there, just as if we're on a Zoom call. Like the same, like you don't have to schedule anything. Like
I'm buying that.
and I'm going to roll that out for all in logistics and sales because it's pretty cool. And the way you do it to get business is like everybody hears from every logistics company every day, right? They're pounding away. The phone lights up and it's a one call after another. These shippers is, hey, it's AI. Try me, ask me questions, see what you like. It's interesting. And I did it. And how I discovered it is another business I have. One of the creators over there did it himself. So I clicked on it and it opened a Zoom and it was his virtual avatar talking to me. And it was so cool. I'm like, this is badass. This is cool. And so like cool and interesting and new is how you get business to get in the door, right? You don't get in the door with say, hey, can I give you my info? And I'm Johnny and this is what we do. No, I don't want to hear from you, Johnny. I can't time. Like it's something new, right? Let me click on something at my own time, my own pace, and let me test it out and look at it. And that's how you go get business and make it interesting.
Dave, what's so great about what you're talking about here is I think the world has changed. So we're now working our own schedules. And if I can work my own schedule and like I create that virtual avatar that looks just like me, although I wouldn't mind if maybe add a little more hair. It doesn't all have to, maybe 10 years younger, little George Clooney filter on the face. If I can say, yeah, I can scale my business with a virtual sales guy. Dave, you've scaled businesses, and I'm sure you know this probably better than anyone listening to this podcast. You need money to scale. And there's always that challenge. This is what we're bringing in. Do we need to raise more money? And there's most people, myself included, are bootstrappers. So you go, no one's going to go give me money to get a sales guy, not in that kind of business.
True. I don't want people's money, right? Like I did a seed round in this business of all strategics and I can't sleep. I want to deliver value. Like I don't want to go raise more money. I'm not I'm not going on the raising money for the next 2 years. I'm building a product. I'm going to get the damn thing profitable ASAP, turn cash flowing, and I'm going to return investors money and get them value is my goal. And like, I do not like having other people.
Well, what Dave though, is that we potentially are scaling our sales with virtual assistants. And that means bootstrappers, this is the best day of your life right here, because
Or it's good. There's a window though, because the windows now is curiosity, but all of a sudden a year from now, when everybody has it and everybody's doing it, then it's like, all right, what's next? So I think the tricky part of the business I'm in now, Joe, is figuring out what the next cool thing is, what the next thing is going to keep me ahead of it. And putting together a tech strategy team of some of the top people in logistics, top CIOs and CTOs in logistics to say, okay, guys, this is working now. What do we look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? Because if we don't stay ahead of it, we're going to be behind.
Yeah, but I've seen what you guys did at Lean, that you guys evolved. Again, I think a lot of people initially thought, oh, cool, I got cheap heads overseas. And that's not what Lean is now. Now it's a strategic partner that it could be developing your technology that's anything but just cheap labor.
Yeah, that was the key with Lean Tech when we launched Lean Tech. It was like, listen, logistics companies, most of them don't have the budget to spend a lot of money on tech. Like it's not your mid to medium, 50 million, $100 million companies. They don't spend money on tech. They don't spend money on marketing. They get an off the shelf product for a TMS. They don't do, somebody, handles their Instagram account that works there. They don't have a ton of marketing. And this Lean Tech and Lean and Lean marketing, had Lean marketing and Lean Tech. I was able to say, we can subsidize and we can augment what you have, and you don't have to have a full team doing it. And
I guess my point is what I'm seeing is an evolution where you say, okay, this is what we used to deliver, but we can deliver more and more. And I have no doubt that's what you're going to do with this new business.
you have to. Otherwise, if you're not always delivering, you're done. Like it's like customers want more and more. So you got to.
Yeah, the iteration, but iteration is just, it's inherent in the tech business. But man, the value you guys can provide in this new deal is unbelievable. Anyway, enough of my blather. I'm going to summarize the best I can. It's hard to summarize talking to you, David. I'm going to summarize. I want to hear final thoughts on the topic. Talking to my friend, David Bell, and I'm talking about not only his original company, one of his original companies, Lean Solutions Group, but also talking about his new venture, CloneOps.ai. And what they're talking about here is AI phone always turned on. It's basically, it's putting your team on steroids by using some of these AI virtual agents. And I initially, when we started talking, I was thinking narrow. Oh yeah, it can answer the phone for me. It can follow up on track and trace. The more we talk, the more you start thinking, this can help you scale your business. I mess around with Google Gemini. I played around with it today when we were talking about putting a title together. Ultimately, we came up without it, but we're using AI right now as a toy, but you guys are actually putting it to work. And I love this idea that at some point I'm going to have a virtual assistant, and then maybe get beyond the virtual assistant and say, there's a virtual Joe Lynch, and no one knows if I'm there that day.
Listen, virtual's everywhere. Some people have virtual girlfriends, so who knows what virtual is going to come to. Pretty soon we'll be taking a trip virtually.
I was just talking to my buddy about one of those virtual girlfriend things, and I said,
after for a friend.
Yeah. And what's funny is I always say, as people get older and they don't have any company, I just envision, grandpa's arguing with his virtual girlfriend. Why doesn't he get one that doesn't argue with? Because he did have one. He didn't like that. He wants to argue with her all day long. That's what they do.
Like when a guy says, you sound just like my ex-wife. She goes, what? I didn't know you were married before.
Yeah, Dave, that's a topic for another day. Anyway, Dave, put a big old bow on this one. Final thoughts on the topic.
Listen, it's what's happening in his evolution is crazy. It's revolutionizing the industry. It's going to be, everybody's talking about it, and I just want to be a part of it. I want this is the next rush, and I'm happy I'm in the heat of it, and a lot of competition, and we're excited about where we're going, and hopefully see everybody manifest. And if you're interested, reach out to CloneOps.ai and hit the badass robot and book a demo or ask a question.
Yeah, Dave, I'll make sure I put a link to your LinkedIn profile, a link to your website, and any of the links you and your marketing team give me. And I know Lean Solutions Group has a booth over at Manifest, and I'm assuming you'll be there.
I'll see. I'll be around there. I got a lot of, I'm there one full day, so I'm busy, but I'm sure I'll be around the Lean team.
All right, man. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I love what you guys are doing. This blows my mind.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you, man. Keep it up. Good work, man. I love your podcast.
Thank you so much. And thank all of you for listening to my podcast. Your support's very much appreciated. Until next time, onward and upward. You have been listening to the Logistics of Logistics podcast, where we engage with leaders in the logistics and supply chain community. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave us a nice review on Apple or Spotify or wherever else you listen. Also, please check out our videos on YouTube and connect with us on LinkedIn. We're very big on LinkedIn. And you can also reach us on the logisticsoflogistics.com, our website.